If you've been on the internet browsing, looking at things over the last 6 months, you have 100% seen something that has been AI driven. And as course creators, you probably hear a lot of talks and comments and things about people using AI, but it can be a very overwhelming topic because there are so many different tools, so many different ways to use it. And it's not as simple as just going to ChatGPT and saying, this is what I need. Go ahead and create it. Like, it just doesn't work that way. And if you guys were on last week's episode, you saw and got to experience a little bit of how you can start to use ChatGPT from a messaging perspective. But I wanted to go a little bit deeper with that on today's episode. So if that's interesting to you, well, keep on listening.
Hi, I'm Brandon Lucero, and you're about to experience the new way to thrive in business, entrepreneurship, and life by leaning into who you are, what you love, and standing up for what you want to create. Get ready, because this is where we go against the grain, say no to outdated society norms, and we say yes to change in order to create a happier, more fulfilled world. Welcome to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.
All right. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome back to another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. Super excited for this episode. We have a special guest coming on to the podcast today. As you guys know, we talked about AI last week and how to use it, start using it with messaging and some of the do's and the don'ts and things like that. But I wanted to take it another level deeper. And so we have a returning guest on the podcast today, someone who's been diving into AI more than anyone I know and has been doing a pretty amazing job. Like, I saw some stuff this morning that just kind of blew my mind. And so we had Jenna Soard on the podcast last time, I believe, to talk about her beta launch strategy. And now we have her back on to talk about AI and business. So Jenna, welcome back to the podcast.
Oh my gosh, thank you for having me. I feel like it's been a hot second, but I'm back and we're here back. And I've got some fun things to share.
Yeah. Well, I wanted to have you on because, as you know, you and I chatted last week and you were kind of like walking me through some of the things that you've been doing inside of your business, and your business has blown up over the last couple of years, teaching AI, using AI and things like that. So I wanted to have you back on to just kind of run through some of the stuff that you taught me. And I would love to just sort of dive into, which we outlined before the episode, like the top 3 ways that course creators can be using AI. But before we do that, do you mind giving people a little bit of a background of like who you are, what you do nowadays, because they may still like know you from the old stuff you did years ago?
Yeah. So my main thing is that I, started teaching course launching and branding way back in the early 2013 through 2016 era. And now all that's been shifted and changed. I'm so sorry. My dog is going to.
It's okay. We don't edit anything on the podcast. So it's just like, we just go with the flow.
Oh man. Because there's people outside right now. So he's going to be a little barky for a second.
That's all right.
So I'm like, oh no. I don't know. Is it super loud? Can you hear?
It's okay.
Okay. So I started off with teaching branding and design a long time ago, way back when like Canva and Photoshop were the only things available. And even when I started, Canva was like brand new. So it was incredibly tricky because, even that, like, Canva was not a household name when I started doing this. And now with the invention of AI, it's been absolutely wild because of how much easier things are now. Like, used to be before, you'd have to take all the pictures, do all the things. You'd have to, everything had to be manual. And now everything can be created with the AI, all social media images. You don't even have to use Canva anymore. You can actually have the AI generate the text on the image. All the things that I was spending so much time before teaching is not a thing anymore. And, it was so complicated back then that, it was impossible. Like, it was such a complex thing to be able to create a lot of the designs back then that I actually quit teaching design for a long time because of it. And it was with the invention of AI that I came back and actually, was like, you know what, I am going to do this. I am going to, bring back my love of branding and design because this is making the process so much easier.
I love it. So what would you say that you're doing? Like, what is the main thing you're selling now, like, for the audience?
Okay. So for right now, do you remember, this will bring us back 2 years ago. Do you remember back in 2022, I ran into you at a speaking event where I was saying, hey guys, AI images are going to be all the rage. And everybody was like, it was so funny because it was for a James Wedmore event. And I remember him going like, we like to be cutting edge here. And Jenna's doing this thing. And nobody knew what this was. And everybody was like, oh my gosh, how are you doing this? And then fast forward to now, we see it everywhere, right?
Well, I remember that's what I told you last week. I was like, I remember that conversation and I remember thinking like, this is cool, but we're pretty far out from that. And if you would have told me where we were now back then, I'd be like, no, that's like years on the road. Like it was like fast, like hyper speed. And I almost feel like it hit like a ton of bricks to the point where there's a lot of people kind of like screwing around, running around going like, how do we implement this? What's going on? What is this whole thing? And you were there like 3 or 4 years ago.
Yeah. I mean, I saw the opportunity there. And so I was like, I need to launch a program on AI branding as fast as humanly possible. And I'm so happy I jumped on that bandwagon because it literally, I remember the first month I launched a $67 a month membership. It had a $500 initiation fee. I made $100,000 just from Facebook posts from a program that inexpensive. And I was like, wow. And that's when I got business partners. I mean, I ended up blowing the business up and it was crazy how we went from 200,000 a year to 5.5 million in 1 year.
That's bananas.
The craziest. And because we were writing the trend of AI, like that's the whole thing. It's not like I was changing. I mean, maybe I shifted a little bit about who I am and I could receive more abundance that way, but for the most part, it was like me writing a trend that I could have the foresight. And now, like what I hope that you guys can take away from this podcast is how you can have the foresight of what trends are happening right in this moment to capitalize off of them. Because even Alex Hormozy said, like, the people who make money with AI are not the ones that are necessarily, I mean, of course, the ones that are like maybe inventing it might be able to capitalize on it, but it's the people who are using it as arbitrage to get paid highly for the things that used to cost a lot of money before, providing those services or utilizing those services and saving them in your business is going to be where the arbitrage is going to happen. Because, before you'd pay $2,000 to $5,000 or say even $1,000 to $10,000 for an amazing brand photo shoot and a website. And now you can actually go create that very quickly, have it look absolutely amazing. And you're either saving your business that $10,000 or you're making that $10,000 doing it with AI and being able to pump those things out in a day.
Yeah. It's not only the money, but you're saving your time. So you're not gonna have to sit there, doing all that stuff yourself going like, yeah. So that makes a lot of sense. We ran through a lot of different ways in which you could use AI. And I think one of the things, because what you said about like speeding things up, I think is how we're going to start utilizing it, where I don't think AI is at the point from like a messaging perspective. You can just say like, make me a Ursa video or like make me an ad that converts and it's just going to spit it up. You still need to have like this understanding of it. And so for us, like the messaging process, it takes time. And so we're going to start using AI to speed up that process for our students, which means we're going to start using it inside our programs. And I know that's one of the things that you obviously have been doing. You started talking to me about, but what are some ways that course creators can use AI to like help their students get faster, better, deeper results?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, outside of the actual brand image thing that we just talked about with using AI, branded images of yourself that look like you in social media, and then having those professional photos make their appearance in your program too. Because I mean, you think about it, you probably want to use branded photos of yourself throughout your own program to make it feel professional, right? But what I'm getting into right now, and this is the next thing. So remember, I'm telling you this now.
We're going to rewind in a year. Like Jenna said it here. She said it first.
This is my prediction for the next year is that we're going to stop filming videos and we're going to start using GPTs only. And the reason why I think this is going to happen is because if you guys are not aware what a custom GPT is, I'm sure many of you guys have heard of this, but a custom GPT is a way to utilize ChatGPT's intelligence with your own methodologies and instructions to guide it and be able to take your students through an experience. So the thing I just did yesterday, what was technically like a 40 video course that I've been selling for the past few years on course launching, I wanted to go in and edit it. And I was looking at the whole thing going, ugh, this video is too long. This needs to be updated. Like it just feels so heavy. It's heavy for them to watch it. It's heavy for them to remember all the information. It's heavy for it to create a custom experience for every person, for every situation. If I'm talking to somebody who is a course creator, they might be a little bit different than a consultant who's looking to do one-on-one services, who's a little bit different than a creative who's trying to launch a design business or something. So if I have services that could fulfill all three of those, and we have kind of a common goal of them launching a course, one-on-one services, coaching services, or membership services, how do I speak to them in a way that feels custom to them? And the answer to that is a custom GPT, because a custom GPT will be able to take your methodology and apply it to their situation. And if they get what, like, for example, if I was going to bring somebody in who wants to have a dog walking, membership or something, and they have this great idea that they want to teach people how to start a dog walking business, and they put into the GPT, I want to start or I want to create a course helping dog walkers launch their business. Well, the GPT will now frame every single question saying, giving them suggestions, giving them different ways that they can think about it. I remember I was doing this as an example in a GPT I was creating yesterday, and it was playing dumb with it because I know that people will go in and be like, I don't know. I don't have an audience. I don't know what my methodology is. I don't know. And I wanted to see how it would push it to tell what things it would come up with. So I even said at one point to the GPT, I was like, I spank my dog. I just wanted to see what it would say. And it was like, because it asked what the methodology is. And I was like, because I'm not a dog trainer. So I was like, I don't know. I just spank it, and it responded with, well, that's not a good idea. What studies have shown is that spanking your dog leads to this, 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 and this. A better way of doing it would be this. And I was like, great, GPT. This was a joke. I was testing you. Thank you for saying that. You know what I mean? So it will not allow you to, it won't give bad advice on how to break the law or do disparaging things. It will actually guide them. And what its recommendation was in that point was you could actually use intuitive, or it gave a list of suggestions of other methodologies I could pick from if I was really doing this course or whatever. So that's the benefit of a GPT that you just can't get with a video unless you film 27 different paths for 27 different things. And if you can use your core formulas that you used to have to manually have people write out, Brandon, I'm sure, do you have formulas in your program right now?
We do. And so one of the ones I've been working with is just our thought reversal framework. I've been comparing, because we do have a messaging AI bot inside of our program right now. It's been trained on our philosophy. And so I've been testing prompts and things like that with ChatGPT versus our messaging bot, and seeing the difference between the two. And ours that has been trained on our process and trained on the framework and trained on the philosophy, I mean, it's night and day, the answers that it gives you. And then one of the things you were talking to me about is you can also give it almost walls to stay within. You answered it this way, but for future reference, don't do this because of X, Y, and Z. So then it won't do that anymore. Where if you don't have that head person guiding it, whatever, it just doesn't produce the best results. But the thing for me is the same thing that you're saying is even though I have a framework or this video or this training or this workbook inside the program, it can feel very heavy, and people still need time to really understand the concept, and more specifically how it applies to their specific situation. And that's AI, I've realized, has been bridging that gap so much easier for people.
Well, I mean, they love it because they want to coach. And if you can make it sound like a coach that's giving them the specific answer that they've been looking for, well, how much less coaching and how much more can they get done when they have somebody talking them out of it? If they don't understand the question, they can ask the GPT, can you make this clearer? If they, are oh, I feel stuck here, can you reword this in a different way? Your video can't do that. And I think that's the missing thing. That's the thing that, so basically I'm getting ready to launch something around, remember the beta testing process that I have. I decided that I wanted to launch an entire program that was going to take people through an experience where I wanted to coach them a very specific way in the GPT. I wanted it to be bold and rebellious and raw and push them to remember why they want to do a program to begin with. And so I structured it where the actual welcome message of the GPT sets the foundation for that and is like, hey, these are the things that you need to think about as you're going into this GPT. How do you want to be seen? What feels good in your body with, working one-on-one versus, coaching or this? Like, before you make the decision as you go through this, journal these things before you go into it, or take into consideration these things. And then it's like reminding them you're not just creating a course or a program, but you're starting a movement. And that sort of specificity with the instructions of the welcome, with setting the tone and getting that perspective, also influences how the GPT communicates with them for the rest of their experience. If you don't put that tone in, or you don't have that welcome message to set the tone, it will tell them generic things that are not sounding like you. And so my goal for this one was like, every single thing that would have been a series of videos is now a GPT. And now, to get the FaceTime with me for the know, like, and trust, it's me giving them a quick motivational video of what they need to think about, and then to make sure that the results are not, going to go astray, because, GPT can be very encouraging, even if it's a bad idea sometimes. Is, can you take the results that you got from this GPT and put it into the community or school or, wherever you have, to get feedback from the coaches there. So instead of taking it one GPT and having it through the entire program, it's like 8 GPTs. And the 8 GPTs have a clear beginning, middle, and end. They have a clear set of results that they get. And you actually program the GPT to say, don't ask any more continuing questions, so that they stop. Otherwise, we'll just be stuck with like,
Say me out loud.
yeah, they'll say, I remember I was using this one woman's GPT, and it says, oh, do you want me to send this to you in a Notion template in the next 5 days? And I'm like, sure. And then I reached out to her company, and they're like, yeah, that was the ChatGPT gone rogue. Like, it's not going to send you anything. You know what I mean? So that's the thing with some of this technology, is it can go a little bit rogue. But yeah, that's the vision. That's where I see courses are going to be going, is a series of GPTs to take them through a custom experience.
And that's the direction we're heading to, because right now it's like we just have one bot that's been trained on the whole system. But I think as we start to develop even our own messaging philosophy and business philosophy, like each little item is going to have its own chat, like GPT, like one's for offers, one for like the pitch on a webinar, the one for an opening on a webinar. And then like, I love what you said, is like, it gives you like that data or the result. And then you can take that data result and then plug that into the next one. And then like, if I wanted to design a webinar, I could have like 4, because there's a 4-part process for a webinar. It's like, I can have the intro, then the intro is done. And then I can like have it feed the next phase, the next phase, the next phase. And so I love that.
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Sorry, go ahead.
I was just going to say, one way you can help it with, one of the issues with jumping from GPT to GPT is it doesn't remember what the other GPT said. So you need to have it summarize everything at the end of it, so they can easily copy and paste it and put it into the next one. Yeah. Or, you could copy the whole entire conversation and then take it over into the next one. But that's a little bit more cumbersome. Instead, you can just have them, whatever those core things are. And the other thing I was going to tell you too is, like, as you're going through in your own course, I want you to think about, like, if you were refilming it, what you would be having them do for assignments, what their main goal would be, and then just creating GPTs in that format. So not like overall blanketed, like, oh, here you're going to create an offer. It's like, no, here is the GPT on how you're going to figure out your primary research, and how you're going to, how you're going to figure out your primary research and where you're going to get 20 people to interview. And so it takes them through, like, who do you know? How could you find people? Oh, I don't know anyone. Well, is that really true? Like, what about that? It'll take them through this. Okay, now you have your ideas of where to get 20 people. Let's configure what interview questions they're going to ask them. And so by the end of it, they have 20 leads and 20 interview questions. And that's like usually 1 to 2 lessons in the program. So you can see how you can like structure it in a way that can be step by step, following your methodology exactly, but without it being so generic that they get lost.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah. So I know we're already kind of like on this pathway in this conversation of how to create a GPT, but like, and I know that there's visuals that the audience probably needs to see in creating it, but like, Can you explain a little bit about what that process may look like? If they like someone's like brains making new, they're like, this sounds great. Where do they go to start creating GPTs? How does that work? Like, are there some rules to follow, do's and don'ts?
Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. So, what I would say is that if you're at the very beginning of your journey and you don't know what you're doing yet to like for a business or whatever, you could be just having conversations with ChatGPT in general to kind of help you construct like what you're going to be doing, right? Following people like you, like myself, who have clear methodologies to take them from an idea to actual launch is going to be really helpful versus just kind of winging it. ChatGPT is going to give you some great ideas, but it's really good when you find entrepreneurs or gurus that you trust that you know have done this, because you're totally right. Like what you were saying before about how there's nuances that maybe the GPT won't understand, and I can think of a perfect example of that. Have you've heard of what's that guy's name who does is it ClickFunnels? Right? What's that guy's name?
Russell
Right.
Brunson?
Russell Brunson. You know how he came up with the big domino statement, and
Yeah.
he talks about modality. Doesn't he talk about modality somewhere? Like the modality, I don't. So modality meaning in the sense of the approach of the way that you do something. Like you're known for messaging, and your approach with messaging might have like specific, like your thought reversal is like your method, but it could be based on a science or something. Or for example, if somebody was like a diet coach and they were trying to figure out the difference between teaching calorie counting keto or green keto, each one of those is a modality, but which one is going to be the most successful? Probably green keto, because it's the one that not everybody's tried yet. So it creates like a new opportunity in the marketplace. I'm sure you've like heard this before, talked before, right? Well, ChatGPT doesn't understand modality that way. ChatGPT understands modality as are you using handouts or videos for your course?
Yeah.
So I would catch it in there saying these things. And so it's just good to be aware that you still have to have critical thinking skills. You still have to be able to get feedback on your work. It's not going to be a be all end all, give you all the answers. You're going to make $1 billion and you're never going to get any feedback, and you're not going to have any critical thinking skills, and you're not going to have to use your critical thinking skills when you're creating these things. So if someone was to just get started, use it as a jumping off point to come up with some ideas, to have any sort of idea to get started. I mean, how many of your students say, well, I just don't even know?
Yeah. I mean, it's all the time.
Yeah.
I'm
Yeah.
always like, well, if you did know, what would the answer be?
Yeah. They're just like, well, I don't know. I just want to make money online. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
well, how can we whittle that down into something that's actually going to be fitting for your personality type, what you actually want to do, the impact that you want to make in the world, all those things. And so you can use, that's the main thing. ChatGPT is going to be an amazing resource for you to start off with, just having conversations with it. When you get into the custom GPT part, that's when you know that you have a course, a membership, or something that you want to sell, and that you can use Brandon's messaging part of it to get the ChatGPT to behave, right? So you could get the messaging that is needed in there to take people through an experience with the welcome messaging, using things like thought reversal in them to be able to then create a more student-centric, conversion-oriented, positive. Do you see what I'm saying? So
Yeah.
yeah.
Well, I understand. Yeah, because the thing I realized when just testing out just the normal ChatGPT thing with like, what is a thought reversal? And by the way, I have the framework online. So it exists online. I've taught it in numerous videos. So it's not like the framework of thought reversal just doesn't exist. It's floating around the internet all over the place. And then, but the thing is what it doesn't have is the context of like why certain things are being done in the certain way. And so it's like, yeah, ChatGPT has the framework, but even when I ask it for the framework, it still doesn't give it exactly right. But then when I started to realize when I was using it, it just doesn't understand why, like step number 3 is to discredit the belief. It doesn't understand why we're discrediting the belief, or like how specifically you should be discrediting the belief, or like what is a discredit. And then also it doesn't even know like the difference between like a belief and a pet peeve. Like these are all the little like nuances, the little intricacies that it doesn't pick up on, that I get to like input to my own custom ChatGPT to like give a better result for my students. But also like when the student also has the context. So like when your custom GPT has the context and all these nuances and intricacies understood. But then the user also has an understanding of what we're doing and why we're doing it. You put those two together and they can create magic. Like they can create results that they couldn't have done on their own. And so that's the other thing too, is like, I can go to ChatGPT and have it create a great thought result, but that's because I understand it. I know how to guide it. I know when it's wrong. I know when this is off and I know what is off. Right. But our students aren't going to know that. So like right off the bat. So when you can train the student and train the GPT, I feel like the results are just like things you've never seen before.
What you can do in your custom GPT is give exact examples. Say, example, this, and this, and it starts to understand what an example should be, so it can actually plug that in with whatever their particular situation is. If you don't have those examples in the instructions, it will go back to its default setting on what that is. So that's how you can actually guide them. The other thing that's really exciting about right now is that it used to be some of the, I'm sure as you guys are listening to this, you're thinking, but how can I have GPTs be a part of a program if people can just, put it into their ChatGPT system, and then, if I stop paying for the program, or I could give it to somebody else or whatever. There's now new ways that you can actually embed GPTs into courses, so that the only way you can access a GPT is by actually being in the course shell, like School, like Thinkific, like Kajabi, and that it will actually charge the course creator like data on it, but the data is like 0.003. It ends up not being very expensive to run it, and it protects all the modalities and protects all the GPTs in the actual program. So there's different ways you can do them now that can actually put a paywall on things. And we've also been using them for things like lead magnets and inside of launches, and even using them as a way to get potential customers to help them get through their objections of buying.
Oh, that's really cool. So what do you do with that?
So you create something where you call the GPT, is now the right time, or how to figure out which plan is the best for you, or whatever, however you want to figure it out. I think even the last one we did, we wanted to make it even more coy, so it didn't just sound like objection GPT. It was something along the lines of what's the best path for secret AI society, or something like that. And when they would get into it, we would take sales objection training, use it as a knowledge doc, put it into the knowledge doc, and have it reference knowledge doc for any of the trigger things that they could say, and then combine it with our tone of voice, so that it would give back like the exact thing that would happen in a sales call, but in a methodology that would be based on emotions or any of those things. So yeah, so those types of things are really good. The other, we ended up using a GPT to coach someone through their blocks, like somatic. I am certified in somatic training. We took some of my somatic training and put it into a GPT to help people figure out what they want in their business. And it was really transformational. And the thing that people kept saying was like, I feel so seen. I couldn't stop crying. I finally somebody could reflect back to me the vision I've had in my brain that I couldn't get out all along. And I was like, wow, that's so cool that I didn't have to do a whole bunch of somatic releases for the 15,000 people we had in that launch, that they could go have that experience. And then we had the highest sales ever from that launch. So this is some of the awesome ways you can use GPTs, like in a free way, in a closed launch container kind of way, in the sales process kind of way, and then of course for courses too.
So how do you use that in a launch? Do you just put it in a Facebook group, or do you send an email out like, hey, if you have an objection, or you have a block, or how does that get integrated into it?
Mm-hmm. So when I figured out this GPT thing should make everybody's life a whole lot easier, we were doing the same launch over and over and over again for 2 years straight. And the launch was how to teach people how to create a logo, brand colors, a brand vibe, a whole entire identity in 3 days. We have all these formulas that we used to manually make them do. I put it in a GPT, got great results from it. Finally, we didn't have any of the questions we were having before. That was the first sort of stint I had in doing this. And I was like, okay, we need to do this more. So then it turned into me creating a brand archetype. GPT. So a brand archetype and then this cool formula thing for figuring out their brand theme. And then I created this one called What's My Brand Frequency? What am I doing in this business? And that was like the wildly transformational one. So throughout the whole entire launch experience, we were making these a part of their assignments. They were on the replay page. They would watch a video and then they would have a GPT that I would demonstrate in the live training for them to go use. They would then post the results in the community to get feedback. So by the time we were selling, they were like, give us more GPTs. So they didn't even question,
So, yeah, like train them on the, like to need the
yeah. So you just train them that these GPTs are going to do nothing but benefit them. You already have that entrusted them when they got to it. And I remember the original way I programmed the objection one, it was trying to sell them too soon. And my business partner at the time went in and was like, no, you're like trying to slam them with the sale after like overcoming one objection. Like let's kind of take them through what we would do in a sales call.
Oh, I love that. That's smart.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Okay. So the next, where I want to move this conversation next is to like the creation of imagery, branding, and specifically video, because you showed me some really cool videos before. So if someone wanted to use like ChatGPT or AI, because I know there's so many different AI tools that are available to help with like content or images or logos or just even video, like I know we could probably do a whole series on this, but like, where can people go to get started and what are some, like, how do they get into that?
Yeah. So right now in a sea of 15,000 AI tools, part of like what I do in my business is I help students figure out like the very, very best. And I'm going to give you guys, we call our business the Secret AI Society. However, I'm going to give you guys some secrets today because this is going to be the thing that I wish I would have known when I was in your shoes. And it's just kind of interesting. So, and you have to remember that I come through the lens of a former university professor, former Nike designer, and somebody who teaches non-designers how to do design. So my whole entire structure for looking at any sort of image generation tool is coming through a completely different lens than somebody who doesn't know, right? So what am I looking at when I look at an image generation tool or a video generation tool? Well, number one, I'm looking for prompt adherence. And what does that mean? Well, it means like, is it going to follow directions and is it going to produce text in a way that's legible and correct? Because there is nothing more annoying than trying to create images, trying to create a logo, or trying to create an ad or do an infographic or do anything and have the text be wrong. And this happens with 99% of image generation tools, except for two. And they're the two that are the most amazing at text and prompt adherence are ChatGPT's Sora. Most people don't know this. They try to generate images just on the ChatGPT side. But if you click on Sora, like you're going to go create videos and you actually create video or images from the Sora side, you will be able to break more rules. You'll be able to generate images way faster. What takes ChatGPT a good 30 seconds or a minute to develop a picture takes Sora way faster, where you'll get a warning sign on the ChatGPT side saying, you can't do this. Sora will let you break all kinds of rules. Most people don't know that. So that's like an example of a little trick of like how I'm looking at speed, adherence, like what we should be doing. So in my program, one of the things that we teach is like, we teach all about why ChatGPT is one of the best things for creating ads and social content. Because if you think about it, I actually did this. I looked at I don't know, some highly converting ads in the ad library. Do you ever do that? Do you ever go look at the ad library?
No, but I should.
Oh my gosh. Okay. So every single business that is doing ads right now, you can go see what ads they're running. Okay. All you have to do is go to their business page. There's a little section in the About section called Page Transparency. If you click on Page Transparency, you can click on where they're running ads and you can see if they're still running an ad, it's probably profitable, especially if it's been running for a long time. I would take a screenshot of that ad, throw it into ChatGPT and say, hey, here's a picture of me. here's a picture of this highly converting ad. Can you put this text in it and convert it into something that will look similar, but not exactly the same? I did this with someone and it created like the world's most amazing thing. It was like an image of me pointing with a whole bunch of text and little check boxes. And it looked, like not just like I wouldn't look at that person's ad and look at my ad and see the connection, but
Right.
it would train ChatGPT
There's
to
like
like
similar principles between the two.
similar principles, but like it would look totally different. I was like,
Yeah.
man, I didn't have to lay this out in Canva. All the text was 100% correct. The only thing that I had to do is that the actual camera, the actual camera likeness that is on ChatGPT is not quite as perfect as other programs. So there's a process that we use with this called face swapping, that we use a piece of software to actually swap the face onto the character that looks like your twin. So you can get a little bit more of that likeness on the actual ad. So little things like that. But even if you were going to do ads that are not you, the other secret that you can go in and do, and this is so much fun, is that there's so many crazy things that people are creating in Sora. Like imagine a bunny that also looks like a watermelon. Or imagine like one of the craziest things that ads that we did that was really highly converting was of a girl's smile. It's just like a zoomed in picture of her big mouth. And it says brand yourself on a grill of her teeth with these like long, crazy nails that have cupcakes on them. Okay. Like just wild. So if you think about stopping the scroll, it looked 100% real. That's an example of like something that worked incredibly well for social and worked incredibly well for ads. In any other program, brand yourself would have come out the wrong words, missing letters, double L's, double F's, like whatever. So ChatGPT is crushing it in the area of prompt adherence. So like that would be an example of a secret tool that's not a secret, but how you use it, that's an example.
Well, it gets me really excited because I know I said this to you before the episode too, is because you showed me some video stuff and like the scripting that you had written was like really great with the video. And then I hear you talking about like how to use AI with creative. And so like what makes me really excited is like, well, I mean, we're creating the side of the messaging and the communication that goes along with the copy that goes along with that ad, or the scripting that goes with the videos as well, which makes me really excited. Like I haven't been this excited in the business in a while, like to create something new. So like the possibilities of everything is just endless. But the common theme that I'm realizing is that you just still need to have an understanding of like what you're doing and why you're doing it. Like even for you, it's like, I'm looking at this really great ad and like, I want these concepts to be brought over here. And then here's my stuff. But you need to have that sort of understanding with it, which makes a lot of sense. But can we talk a little bit about video? Because that video you showed me of yourself in Sedona, I'm like,
Yeah.
WTF, that is unbelievable. So let's talk video.
Yeah, so there's a whole bunch of video generators that are out right now. ChatGPT has a video generator called Sora. It's like, okay, at least it was when I tested it a little while ago. I'll give you the names of all the big AI video generators, and so you can understand a little bit about each of them and what they do. So we have Sora with ChatGPT, which is okay, worth testing. You get a few video generations with your paid account. I think you can do it might even be unlimited with the $20 a month account. You can only do 2 videos at a time. You have to go in and look at the current pricing for it. It's worth playing with. And one of the conveniences is if you create a really cool image, you can very easily animate it inside of that for free. So starting off with the Sora video generation tool could be super fun. But if you're looking to do and this changes all the time. So it's going to be funny to see how this podcast dates because it literally changes on a weekly basis. But essentially, the newest video generators that have come out in the next month that are wildly impressive are VO3 and Midjourney's video. Now, I was really surprised by this because Midjourney doesn't do likeness that well it kind of does. Like you can upload a picture of yourself, try to create a brand image from it, but it's not really going to have that perfect likeness. You have to do like face swapping on top of it to like make it real. However, just in the past few days, I discovered that if you're doing a trained model of let's say 24 pictures of yourself, and you put into a Flux model, and Flux is an AI model you can find on a lot of different platforms. You can find it on FreePic, you can find it on Krea, you can find it on something called Fall.ai. If you do a trained model of images of yourself and you take an image, and can't get into the nuances of the best way to set this up, but essentially, like, the better pictures you have, the better the results are going to be. So if you have professional photos that have been taken before and you can feed it with professional photos, the results are going to be outstanding. If you have to take snapshots, you can do it if you have proper lighting and you get angles. The most important thing here is, like, how can you get almost a 360 view of yourself at different angles so it understands your body, understands your profile, it understands a little fat in your arm, like all the things that make you you, that it captures all of that. And what I discovered is that if you take an amazing branded image of yourself from one of these technologies and you put it into Midjourney video, it will maintain the likeness. And that's what you saw with the Sedona video. So not all of them will do that. Sometimes they'll morph you into something totally different. Other video generation tools you'll be yourself for 1 second and then you turn into like some weird other person within, 2 or 3 seconds. And so that's the main thing is, like, if we could take step by step away from this, if you're doing branded stuff, how do we get stuff that looks exactly like you? And how do we use the tools that maintain the integrity of who you are? It's like the most important. Midjourney video, absolutely fantastic for that. The other one that's really, really good for that is runwayml.com. It does incredible likeness and maintaining things like text. So if you're trying to, and actually Midjourney is maybe even doing this better than Runway right now. So Runway has a $99 a month unlimited video generation tool, and it generates videos incredibly fast on their turbo setting. I'm discovering that Midjourney is doing even faster and actually will maintain the integrity of text too. So that's a really exciting thing. If you're doing a commercial with, let's say you have a product and you want the label of the product to stay the same, Runway and Midjourney are going to be your two tools that are going to maintain the integrity of what's on the product. And you start these things from still images, and it animates from a still image into doing whatever you want it to do. So it's kind of a completely different way of thinking of it. If you were to upload a video, like let's say we were going to take this video of us right now and we wanted to upload it to something like Runway, we could tell Runway to make both of us aliens, and it would do kind of a layer on top of us that would make us look like, we're aliens or something. So that's video to video. And I haven't really done a whole lot in it because there's so much that can be done with just prompting and with just images to video. The last thing I'll mention here is one to really keep your eye on is VO3. VO3 is Google's video generator. It's incredibly expensive. It costs $250 a month. It works out to be anywhere between $2 to $3 per clip. What I discovered is that if you buy an extra credits pack for $200, it will bring your credits down to about 20 cents per clip, which is
that's really great.
Which is awesome. Most people don't do that though, because it's already $250 and then they have to pay another $200. Now we're talking about $450 and they don't even know what they're doing. VO3 has made its appearance as something you can use in other programs like Krea, like FreePic, but the API may not be as good as going directly to labs.google.com, where the real Google, video generator is. What's significant about VO3 is that VO3 does actors. So you can tell it, you can create a character. You can say, create a woman who is wearing this kind of outfit, who is saying this. And these are 8-second clips of them saying one line of dialogue. So I have created full-on commercials with actors saying things. It's incredible. It's like, it is the closest thing that I've seen to being able to create a cinematic movie. You could get people being interviewed on the street and them talking about how awesome your program is. But I would do that carefully because it's not very honest to create fake testimonials or fake interview things. But what you could say is you could play that up and be like, I'm AI, and we think this thing is great. You can be transparent about what you're doing and still make it very impressive. But for creating commercials with characters doing things and using your messaging program to actually create a script and do it, because of your background in video, Brandon, I could totally see you creating a messaging GPT that creates a script for video that could pump, a video out with thought reversals or something in it that could be really powerful. And so
That
I
makes me
wanted to
really
put that.
excited.
Yeah.
That makes
Yeah.
that the AI like possibilities of like messaging and scripting combined with creative put together, it is super exciting. Cause I mean, you know how it is. You just have so many people who are experts and they're really good at what they do, but they just cannot sell themselves or market. And like, it's frustrating for them, especially because they're like, well, this person is not as good as me, but they're like getting way more customers than me. And it's like, yeah, because they, they figured out the mastery of selling and like marketing and branding. And like, now I feel like AI is almost leveling the playing field for them, which is really exciting.
Well, you just have to try to think of like, and in a C, I work predominantly with middle-aged women that are between the ages of 35 to 80. And one of their biggest concerns is their fear of being on video. And one of the things that I've experienced, and just like you were saying, how you're getting like so excited about this, when you find yourself being creative with AI, it can like ignite your inner child. And so what I've noticed is that they will create a fictitious version of themselves that might be a little younger, a little thinner, a little bit more polished, or just look exactly like themselves in a really good branded photo shoot, which is kind of what I showed you this morning with that. I was like, I don't look like that every day, but like, I do know that I kind of look like that at some points. How can I use that in a video versus the messy bun, get stuff done version of me? And what we've discovered was that, and this has actually happened for me as well, is when you start to see yourself as that polished version in videos and in your AI images, you start to become it. That people have like lost weight, they've like got better outfits, they've started doing their hair every day, they like stopped doing the COVID version of business, which is like, let's hide in our pajamas and not be on camera, and they actually are showing up more because the AI version of them is being the confident version first.
Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, I love that. I mean, it's just like like you said, the possibilities are endless. So it's like, I was talking to someone this weekend. They're like, I want to start a business, but do I have to be on camera? And I was like, kind of, yeah, but like now it's getting to the point where it's like, kind of no.
Yeah.
so I think that's great.
I mean, just to give you an idea of a current pathway I went through that was really, really, really interesting was like, I ended up going through this thing where I found an ad that was an animation, and the animation was an AI animation, and it was so incredible. It led to a school page with somebody who was selling a product, and I didn't care who they were. I wanted the promise that it said in the animated ad, and I bought without knowing who the person was. And I was like, ooh, I'm making a note here of when I'm making purchases, when the brand personality isn't the reason why I'm making it. And when you see that happen, you're like, oh yeah, you can be a faceless brand if you have a promise that people actually want.
Yeah. Yeah.
For sure.
It happens all the time. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, yes, different pathways.
So I love all of this. And I know we could talk about this for hours. But I think this is probably enough for someone who's just getting started to like get rolling with it. And I don't want to put them in a place of overwhelm. So like, if they want to learn more, want to work with you, like want to go through your courses, programs, things like that, where can they go?
So if you want to get like started with just the basics of something, a great place to go is secretAIsociety.com. We have a little $5 membership that gives a preview of like all the things that we do on there. And that's the best way to stay in touch with me. I'm going to be launching a YouTube channel soon. I'll be launching a podcast soon. Finally, I have a 1-year-old who's turning 1 just in the next week. So it's taking me a hot second to like do all the traditional normal business things.
Kids will do that.
Yes, I have a friend who has an AI channel right now, and he made $20,000 last month, and he only has like 2,000 subscribers just because he's talking about
crazy.
AI.
Seriously?
Yeah. Selling, he was doing he did a video on ChatGPT hacks and had like a $97 just one-time product and made $20,000 in 1 month. And I was like, okay, mark my words. Here's another thing. Start a YouTube channel on AI stuff. Like, we got to do this. I just ordered my neon sign so you guys can be.
That's wild.
Yes. So Jenna Soard, Jenna, last name Soard. You can find me on all the socials via Jenna Soard or secretAIsociety.com.
All right. Perfect. All right, guys, head over there if you want to learn more. Jenna, thank you so much for coming back on the podcast. Enjoy listening to you talk about this. And we have you as a guest speaker this week at our mastermind as well. So I'm looking forward to that. So
thank Thank you so much. It was good to see you. Thanks for having me on. Thanks for listening, guys.
All right, guys, if you enjoyed this episode, let us know by leaving us a review on iTunes, and we will see you all next week. Take care, everyone.
Hey guys, thank you so much for checking out another episode of the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, go below, hit the subscribe button, and make sure you click on that bell icon and get notified every time we drop a new episode. Now, if you're looking for the show notes, we have them linked underneath this video, as well as our social media handles and some links to free training and offers that we drop from time to time to help you guys even further. So go check those out if you're interested, and thank you so much for tuning in to the New Generation Entrepreneur Podcast.